series, we are continuing with a list of antonyms. The first on the list is absence. Absence is an abstract noun for the word absent, which is an adjective. Its antonym is presence. Absence, presence. The next is aid. Aid means help. That means an object or a person or a tool that can be an aid for another person or a project. It's an uncountable noun and its antonym is hindrance. Aid, hindrance. The next is adversity. Adversity is an abstract noun which means unfavorable or unfortunate time. Antonym of adversity is prosperity, which means good luck or fortunate time. The next on the list is arrival. Its antonym is departure. Arrival, departure. The next is belief. Belief is an abstract noun which is a feeling that something exists. Its antonym is doubt. That is, we are not sure about a thing's existence. Belief, doubt. The next is freedom. Again, it is an abstract noun which is a feeling to be free. Its antonym is slavery. Freedom, slavery. The next is synthesis. Synthesis means a combination of components or elements to make a whole. The antonym of synthesis is analysis, which means separation of a whole unit or a whole component into different components or the constituent elements in order to study. The next on the list is acquit. Acquit means to free someone from a criminal charge by a verdict of not being guilty. Acquit. Its opposite or antonym is convict. Convict means we declare someone to be guilty of a criminal offense by the verdict of a jury. I will suggest that you try to make sentences with these words so that the meanings are clear and you remember them also. The next on the list is resist. Resist means to oppose or withstand against something. Like I try to resist chocolates. The antonym of resist is advance, which means to go ahead or to promote. The next on the list is cheap, which means low in price. And the antonym is costly, or you can even use expensive. The next is gloomy. Gloomy has different meanings in different contexts. Here we are using the meaning unhappy. But at times it is used for dull or dark surroundings. Gloomy here is unhappy. So the antonym of gloomy is happy here. The next is concise, which means giving information in few words. That is brief but comprehensive. The antonym of concise is detailed, which means full information. The next is genuine, which means truly what something is said to be. That is, it is authentic. Its antonym is spurious, which means false. The next on the list is public, which means ordinary people or the community, and all people have its SS. It's a public thing. Like YouTube is a public platform. Its antonym is private. That is, it is not accessible to all, that belonging to one particular person. It's private. Public, private. The next in the list is success, which means accomplishment or victory. Its antonym is failure. Success, failure. Next is theory, or some people pronounce it as theory, which means a set of rules or principles on which the practice of an activity is based. Its antonym is practice, or at times practical, which means actual application of an idea or method. I will suggest is that you learn all these, pause the video, come up again, check your answers, make sentences and learn them by heart. The next most important question which is coming in these exams is sentence improvement or sentence improvisation. One part of each sentence is underlined, and below the sentence are given options, possible substitutions for that underlined part. As you can see here, if one of these is better than the underlined part, you can choose that option. And if you think that none of the responses can substitute the underlined part, you can mark D, which is none of these. Let's start. The teacher cited a good example. Now, cited with S is made from cite, which can be a construction site. But here the teacher is giving an example. So it has to be C, C-I-T-E-D. And that is coming in option B. The teacher cited a good example. So instead of S-I-T-E-D, we have to use C-I-T-E-D. This is going to correct the sentence. The next example is, do not leave the children at home and with nobody in the house. And the options are without, no one, without, anybody, and nobody, and no change. That means the sentence given is correct. And the underlined part is saying there is some mistake, or you can say that we can improvise the part of the sentence that is underlined and with nobody. And the correct option is without anybody. That means do not leave the children at home without anybody in the house. Next example is, with no slightest warning, the storm bursted. And the underlined part is saying with no. And the options given are with the, without, without the, no change, with no slightest warning. Without the slightest warning, the storm bursted. That makes sense. Without the slightest warning, that means there was no signal, there was no warning, and the storm bursted. Without the slightest warning, the storm bursted. The next is, seismology is the careful motoring of rumor on the earth. That doesn't make any sense. Why? Because seismology is the study where we analyze the tremors in the earth. So seismology is the careful monitoring of tremors in the earth. The next is, the decrease from the hill was not steep. Now decrease, we can just get an estimate that the person is coming downside, but that is not the proper word. The proper word is descent. When somebody is coming down, the descent from the hill was not steep. The next example is, there's no enough petrol in my car. And the options are not so much, not any, not enough, and no change. Now, enough is a determiner. It is quantifying petrol. Had it been there's no petrol in my car, without enough in this statement, it would have been correct. But no enough is incorrect. So it has to be not enough. Before determiner, we will use not and not no. He was used to go regularly. The options are used to go, has used to go, no change. He used to go regularly. Next in the exam series is error finding, where we divide a given sentence into parts. have to spot the error. In the first example, good night sir, have a cup of tea. This sentence has been divided into parts and the last part is showing no error option. We say good evening when we meet a person. That means part A is having an error. It has to be good evening sir, have a cup of tea. The next example is they are fast enemies. Again the sentence has been divided into parts. Now for enemies, the word bitter should be used. Fast enemies. Fast is used with friends, that is inseparable friends. But with enemies, we use bitter. So part C has an error. It has to be bitter enemies. The next example is the train is running in time. Again parts A, B, C and D, we have to find the error and we can see that there is an error in part C. The train is running on time. It has to be the preposition on. The next example is when 2 years old, my uncle got married. Again it has been divided into parts. If we go by this sentence, it means that the uncle was 2 years old. So it should be when I was 2 years old, my uncle got married. The speaker has to be 2 years old. When I was 2 years old, my uncle got married. The next example is unless he will work hard, he will not succeed. Again, the sentence has been divided into A, B, C and D part. Now you can see there is a repetition of the word will, which is incorrect. So we have to replace will work by works. That means part B has an error. Unless he works hard, he will not succeed. The next example is my sister is 2 years older than me. Again the sentence has been divided into parts A, B, C and D. Now in this sentence it should be elder to. Why? Because for brothers and sisters older should not be used. So the correct option is elder to. My sister is 2 years elder to me.